There's a 5-minute window at the start of every work session. It decides whether you focus or scroll. You've never noticed it. And you break it almost every time. Watch what actually happens when you sit down. The first minute's fine. You're opening tabs, shifting your chair, getting things lined up. It almost feels like work. Then, around minute 2, something turns. The task stops feeling reachable. Your head goes cloudy, like the work got heavier while you weren't looking. It's uncomfortable. But you can't point at why. It just makes the work feel dull. And that's the trap. Dull doesn't feel like a crisis. Dull feels like a fair reason to check one thing. So you check. 10 seconds, maybe 30. You come back and tell yourself nothing happened. Something happened. You didn't pause the session. You reset it. You went back to the start of something that was 90 seconds from sorting itself out. Then you do it again. And again. By minute 40, you've sat at your desk the whole time and never once got in. Now stretch that across a year. You're not just losing sessions, you're teaching your brain what focus costs. And your brain keeps the receipt. It shows up as the weight you feel before you start the next day. The dread arrives earlier and earlier. That's not you getting lazier. That's your brain, learning from what you keep showing it. The real question isn't how to focus for 2 hours. What's actually happening in those 5 minutes? Why does the work go heavy at minute 2? And what changes if you don't run? Because that window isn't what's standing between you and deep work. It's the mechanism. Learn how it runs, and you can run it on purpose. Same way, every time. Let me show you what's in there. So what is happening at minute 2? The honest answer is uncomfortable. You're not sitting down to work. You're sitting down carrying the last thing you did, and you've got no idea you're carrying it. A psychologist called Sophie Leroy spotted something odd in office workers. They'd finish a meeting, walk back to the desk, open the task they'd been putting off, and do worse on it than people who came in cold. Not more tired, worse at thinking. She ran it properly in the lab, and she found the culprit. When you switch tasks, part of your attention stays behind on the old one. She called it attention residue. Think about walking out of a cinema at 3 in the afternoon. Your eyes work fine, but for a minute or two, the world looks wrong. Too bright, too flat. Nothing's broken, you're just still adjusted to somewhere else. That's you at minute 2. Body at the desk, eyes still in the last room. And the residue is thickest when the last thing was unfinished. An email you half answered. A message you saw and didn't reply to. Loose ends cling hardest. So that cloudy feeling means the opposite of what you think. It isn't telling you to leave, it's telling you the adjustment is still running. Sit through it and it clears on its own. So why is sitting through 90 more seconds so hard? Because your brain already priced this, and it priced it against you. You think you're choosing between work and phone. You're not. You're choosing between 2 offers, and one of them looks like a scam. Offer people money now or more money later. They'll grab the smaller amount, almost every time. 50 pounds today or 80 in a month. Plenty of people take the 50. The delay doesn't just shrink the value in their head, it kills it. Your brain runs that same maths on effort, constantly. It never tells you it's running. Picture 2 vending machines. The left one takes your coin and drops a snack. Every time, instantly. The right one takes your coin, hums for a while, and might give you something much better. Or nothing. You know the right machine has the better product. You'll still stand at the left one. Your phone is the left machine. Your work is the right one. The real comparison at minute 2 isn't focus versus scroll. It's something small, right now, guaranteed, against something big in 90 minutes maybe. Put like that, reaching for the phone isn't weakness. It's the right answer to a rigged question. Which sounds like bad news, until you ask where those prices come from. They're not fixed, they're guesses. And guesses update based on what happened last time. That's the crack in the wall. So how do you get in and change the price? 3 moves, all inside the 5-minute window. The first one's going to feel too small to matter. Because your instinct is to fix this with size. Bigger block, stronger promise, better morning. All three make it worse. Anders Ericsson spent decades studying elite performers, violinists, chess players, athletes. He expected to find people who could grind harder than anyone. He didn't. What he found were people who kept sessions tight and stopped on purpose. The best violinists in his Berlin study weren't grinding out marathons. They worked in short blocks with real breaks, and they racked up more total hours because of it. It's the difference between a door and a wall. Right now, you're asking your brain to walk through a wall marked "Write the report." A wall gets refused instantly. But write one bad sentence is a door. Get through a door, and you're already in the room. Move one. Shrink the entry point until it's slightly embarrassing. Not fix the bug, read the error message. Not write the email, write the first line badly on purpose. You're not lowering your standards, you're lowering the guess. The guess is what got refused. And there's a reason this works better than it should. Something happens the second you actually start. Not plan, start, that makes stopping feel wrong. But it only holds if you protect what comes next. Move 2. Protect the window with your setup, not your willpower. Most people guard the wrong thing. Bluma Zagarnik sat in a Vienna cafe in the 20s watching the waiters. They held huge unpaid orders in their heads, perfectly. But the second a bill was settled, the order was gone. Ask them 30 seconds later, and there was nothing there. She took it into the lab and confirmed it. Unfinished tasks stay live in your mind. Finished ones get dumped. So starting is like putting a pot on the hob. Once it's on, the heat builds by itself, and taking it off starts to feel wrong. But lift the lid every 3 minutes and the water never gets near boiling. Doesn't matter how long you stand there. Not 2 hours, 5 minutes. That's what you're protecting. Phone in another room. Not face down on the desk, another room. Reaching for it is a habit that fires before you decide anything. Tabs closed. One task on screen. And get the maths right, because this is where people lose it. A 10-second check at minute 3 doesn't cost you 10 seconds. It resets you to 0. You pay the full entry price again. Do those 2 and you'll get through the window. But you'll wake up tomorrow with exactly the same resistance, unless you do the third thing. And the third thing is the one everyone skips. Move 3. When the 5 minutes end, stop and notice that it was fine. I know how soft that sounds. It's also the most mechanical thing in this whole video. Memory research is clear on this. We're terrible at predicting how we'll feel about things, and the errors don't fix themselves. What fixes them is what you pay attention to at the end. Whatever you notice in the last moments becomes the version you keep. The middle blurs. The ending is what gets filed. It's like coming back from a rough trip and never looking at the photos. You know you went, but what you remember 6 months on, the airport queue, the delay, the part that hurt, because you never gave your brain anything else to store. So when the timer goes, take 5 seconds. No journal, no app, just this. That was easier than dreading it. That's the line that reprices the effort. Skip it, and your brain files the whole thing under cost paid, nothing gained. Then quotes you the same price tomorrow. Run all 3 for 2 weeks and something changes that people describe in almost the same words. They didn't get tougher. Something stopped showing up. And that's the part that earns the word addicted. Here's what those 2 weeks do to you. You sit down to work, and the dread doesn't come. Not because you fought it and won, because it stopped being made. It takes a few days to trust, honestly. You've spent years bracing for that weight. Now you reach for it and it isn't there. That's the whole thing. That's what changed. Because you were never fighting the work, you were fighting a forecast. Every time you sat down, your brain quoted you a price before you touched anything. This will be heavy. This will be long. This will hurt. And what you felt was a reaction to the quote, not the task, which is exactly why the work was usually fine once you were in it. The forecast was always more expensive than the day. You haven't been failing at discipline. You've been a bad witness. You did hard things and never reported back, so your brain kept quoting from old data. 5 minutes, marked at the exit, over and over. That's not a productivity hack. That's you showing your brain it was wrong about you. Now go back to minute 2, the cloudy one. The one where the work went dull and you reached for your phone. You know what that was now. That was residue clearing. That was the cinema doors. 90 seconds from done. And every time you walked, you didn't just lose a session. You filed another report saying, "Focus hurts," then paid for it the next morning. The window was never the obstacle. It was the mechanism. You've just been running it backwards. Run it forwards and the vending machines swap. Your work stops being the slow, uncertain, expensive one. The pull turns around. And that state you've hit maybe 3 times by accident, where it carries you, and you look up and 90 minutes are gone, stops being luck. That's the addiction. Not craving effort, just the absence of dread, plus the memory of what's on the other side. One thing before you go. There's a task you've been circling for weeks. You think about it most days. You've never started it. Don't finish it. Give it 5 minutes today. Phone in another room. And when the timer goes, notice it was fine. That's it. That's the whole entry. If this made something click, subscribe. New videos on the psychology of doing your best work go up every couple of days, and I'd like you to have them. Tell me in the comments what that task is. Sometimes saying it out loud is the entry point. I'll see you in the next one.